Demo time. Did I ruin everything? I just hit exit. All I did was hit exit. Okay, so I apologize in advance. This first demo is a little long. That's because it also shows you walking through the menus and stuff. But here's me starting it. Here's my rad ASCII art. So I've got a number of payloads for all different operating systems. I'm not an operating system racist. So we're going into the Windows payloads here. And the nice thing is every single menu has information. So this one I'm doing is, actually hold on, let me go back so I can show you the payloads. Make freaking me out by standing here. So here's all the payloads I have so far. Pretty obvious stuff, downloading binaries and running them, PowerShell scripts, a couple reverse shells, adding an admin and enabling RDP. My favorite one is number 6, so I'll have a demo of that later. So it downloads and runs invoke Mimikatz, and then it sends the output to a listening IP address. Changing DNS entries, stuff like that. And then the last one is the get username and computer name. And that one's more for POC if you're doing like a USB drop, but you're not allowed to do anything malicious, but you still want to prove that somebody plugged this in. This will just grab their computer name and the username, so you can at least get them in trouble. So in this demo, I'll use this one. So every payload's got a little info option. I promise the other demos are much quicker. I just wanted to show you guys the little menu system in this one. So it's pretty straightforward. You pick the thing from the menu you want, enter your information, such as the IP address, and this one listening port. Lots of typing, I'm gonna get a drink of water. And this is the UAC bypass technique. So one of the frustrating things is trying to be able to get something to pop up in administration mode when you're using this. So I have 2 different ones. One is, I'll just let this demo run a little bit more so it has the information. So the first one is from Fuzzy Security. They have a great one that drops a DLL into System 32 and then runs defragmenter and hooks the DLL in, and it'll pop up a PowerShell command prompt. The nice thing is there's no user notification. It's just a quick box that pops up. If you get the timing fast enough, you can then issue the command to shrink the size of the command prompt, which is in my payload, so that it's just a tiny 1-character total box. So it's very hard to see. And the other one's a lot more straightforward. It just runs command prompt, run as. That one's noisy. You know, you get that ding when the UAC menu pops up. Then it hits all Y to select yes. So it automatically gets you admin mode. Bear with me a second here while the video continues. Again, I swear the other ones are much quicker. So for this demo, I'll just do none. And when you select the file name, it'll actually check to make sure that there's no files that's going to overwrite that has the same name. So this is the notification bubble. By default, it says installing drivers, please do not remove, so that the user will not remove the USB stick while it is delivering its payload. Totally customizable, in case you want something a little less subtle. And then last, you write out the sketch, and it'll just drop it into whatever folder you ran the script from. There you go. And you can go back to the main menu in this instance, and what I'm going to do is run the one of the helper, or the only helper function. And this is just a real simple Python listener, and what it does is every time something connects to it, it'll write the data into a text file with the IP address. Simple, but it can be useful for red teaming, especially if you're doing the Mimikatz or the add-admin attack. There we go, it's listening for connection. So I switch over, there's my Arduino sketch. Pops open the Arduino IDE. And that's just what the sketches look like that it generates. So you can see there's the, right here. It's really tough to read, isn't it? Oh, that looks terrible. So here it is, looking for the caps lock there, and this one doesn't have a bypass UAC, but I just called it that anyway. There's the notification bubble. Somebody tweeted that on Twitter a while ago, and I saw that, and I thought, oh, that'd be perfect for my tool. So I included it, and you'll see it's pretty awesome. I think so. So now it's just compiling the sketch, and it's going to flash it to the Arduino. It's already plugged in. And again, one of the tricky things with these is that as soon as you flash the sketch to the Arduino IDE will then disconnect the Arduino or dismount it, and then it'll automatically reconnect and start delivering the payload. So what I highly recommend if you guys start playing with these is you have Notepad open and just start mashing the left button on a Notepad so that as soon as it starts delivering the payload, it just prints it into your Notepad instead. And while I was talking, there you go, the whole thing just popped. So I'll rerun that again so you can see it if anybody was looking at me instead of watching the screen. So if you look in the bottom right corner, you'll get the notification bubble, and then the top left corner is the payload actually being delivered. There's the payload, there's my notification bubble. The nice thing is, as soon as the payload starts being delivered in the top left corner, the notification bubble pops up, and by default your eyes are just going to turn to it and look, right? So hopefully you don't notice the command prompt there, that's nice and small. So here's the file that it spits out. Nothing fancy, but again, some red teamers might find it useful. And that's the end of that. So I got some more exciting ones. Because it wouldn't be a Defcon demo without popping a shell. So I start my netcat listener. Awesome. Plug in my USB stick. There's the payload delivery, and that's it. I've got a shell. So nice and quick. That one's super fast. I like that one a lot. And there you go. This is the Mimikatz one. So I've got the listener running. Now, that looks like crap because I actually had the UAC bypass technique enabled on this one, but it turns out the video did not record it. For some reason, when you're recording screens, it does not record UAC pop-ups, so you miss it. So there's the payload delivery, nice and quick. Wait for a second for it to run, send the data, boom, there we go. So I thought this was pretty useful. You get username and passwords and an IP address that you can then use them to log into. And that's what the output looks like. There you go, it's Mimikatz. I think I blurred out all my sensitive information. I really hope so. I didn't tell you guys where I worked, so it should be okay. And last one, just so Mac users don't feel too safe. And there's me starting up netcat, listen, flashing the payload, bloop, blop, bloop. Boom, nice and quick. So super useful if you go to Starbucks, somebody goes to the bathroom, leaves the Mac open. You can see how fast that is, nobody will notice. Anyway, so back to the fantastic presentation.
Bottom left of the minus.
Oh my god.
That's it.
Better not start at the beginning. Okay. All right. I'm almost done. So a couple of problems to still work out. The extra library that I found that enables the LED status was having some trouble getting detected by OS X. And then when I went to record these videos on Tuesday, I updated the library and suddenly it was working. So maybe my problem is gone. One of the things I'd like to do is get a Python version of netcat built in as well, so that you don't need to actually use netcat to capture shells. You can just use one of the helper function in it. I'd also like to somehow figure out less timing and our dependency on timing and delay, but that's going to be difficult. So future plans, I want to add an SD card so I can have local storage. It's the one thing that I don't have that the USB ducky has. So that way, instead of sending the Mimikatz output, you can just dump it to the USB stick instead. I found SD card readers that are really tiny that would go with Arduino. They're about 10 cents on AliExpress. I actually ordered some and they just never showed up. Luckily, yeah, they're on the way. I'm only out 50 cents, so I'm not that upset. So I need to clean up the code as well. It looks like shit. Someday I will. More payloads, and I want to find a suitable case so I can hide this thing and actually start doing USB drops with it. But I'm starting to think that the resin casting idea that the guy from Black Hat did, I think that might be a good way to do it. Because even if I did that, I think the total cost would still be under $10, and that sure beats $50 for a USB rubber ducky. So until then, this came out in January, found it on AliExpress. It looks like a USB stick. It's actually an Arduino Pro Micro. That's the main one that I was doing all of my development on. They were 5 for $25, super cheap. But there's no storage on them. But in the meantime, this is still a pretty good solution. So print it up, you get one.
Thank you very much.
For correctly identifying Buckaroo Banzai. I'll warn you right now, there is a payload on there. It's non-malicious. So when you plug it into your computer, there's a 5-second delay, and then it'll type out the address of my GitHub and my Twitter address.
Perfect.
That's it. So that's about it. I'm hoping now that they have the Bash Bunny out, I'm going to try and make a cheap version of that. Somebody told me that I now have the reputation of being the fuck hack 5 guy. It's not my intention. I want to make it more accessible to people. $100 is really expensive for some people to play around with this stuff. If I can make one for $10 and get it into a lot more people's hands, I think that's a good thing. So that's it. Questions, or am I going to walk away now? Yes.
By the way, that Lego USB thing can be found on Amazon.ca as well.
Yeah, it's a lot more expensive.
Yeah, not really, honestly. I ordered about 10 about a month ago, and it came up to a bit more than $6 each.
Oh, okay. That's not
Just if you don't want to wait 6 months.
And before I forget, I gave Steve an alpha copy of this thing to play with, and he was really helpful in helping me clean up the code and make the menus a little bit more user accessible. It's always easy to walk through menus when you've written them. So Steve was very instrumental in making them a lot more logical for people who didn't write it. Yeah. So thank you, Steve. Oh, yep.
If you pass one of these devices through let's say a laptop that's dedicated as a scrubber, will it survive or not?
I have no idea. I have not played with that. I don't know. Good question.
What was the question?
You want to repeat the question? If I pass it through a laptop that's...
So if you insert the device into, let's say, a laptop that's dedicated to the purpose of scrubbing USB drives,
Oh, no, it'll be fine.
so it'll still survive?
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
It's not a Mac.
Sorry, yeah. Sorry, yes. Yes, it'll be fine. Because as far as the computer's concerned, it's keyboard. So, and if it's scrubbing keyboards, then you got trouble. Yes.
As far as one of your little tricks goes, you pop up a notification box and distract the user, right? Why not put the command prompt that pops up behind that box and see it?
Can you pick where the command prompt pops up?
You can choose where you draw it, actually.
Really?
Yeah. The size too. Hide it right behind that guy.
All right.
There you go.
Yeah, please submit it to my GitHub and add that, please. So I stupidly did not even include my GitHub in the presentation. So my GitHub is Red Lectroid, also inspired by Buckaroo Banzai.
We upload all the presentations on the
Oh,
website.
yeah. Awesome, thank you. In case you guys didn't hear that, they'll be on the website, so you'll find a link there.